Hello, welcome to another video in our series on website design. Now, in this video, we are going to take a look at some basics of website design. Since we are going to be building a business around what we are doing now, the skills that we are getting, and we are improving on our skills, it's very good to have a basic understanding, a foundational understanding of how things work in the area of website design. Now, when you have a foundational understanding of how things work, it becomes easier for you to translate ideas for yourself and for your clients into websites that are looking great, and websites that when your clients see those websites, they will love it. And then when you're creating websites for your own products and services, those websites will be websites that are visually appealing, and they're websites that look very good. Why? Because you understand the basics of website design. Now, understanding the basics of website design will also help you to get started with Elementor very quickly, because for most people, they have difficulty grasping the fundamentals of Elementor because they don't have a foundational understanding of how websites works. So what we're going to do is that we're going to just try and do a little bit of wireframing just to see how website works. Now, when you look at a website, I'm just going to try to put up a website here. When you look at a website, you generally just see something like this. And then when you look at the website, you see on top of the website somewhere here, you have your menus. So you have something like home, you have about us, and so on and so forth right on top here. So you have your menus on the top of the website. So I'm just going to use maybe some icons to just represent your menus, and then probably you have drop down here for more, and so something like that. Now, when you look at that, you see that that is a section. So you have a section that represents the top bar or the top section of the website. Then the next section that becomes easily, or that you can recognize quickly on the website, is the footer. So we call this the header. That's the header section of a website. So when you look at the website, generally, you have the header. Then when you come down, you also have a section of the website that is called the footer. So you have these two areas jumps at you, and in the footer you can have some links, contact us, about us, and so on. You can have some links in your footer, and then in your footer you can have probably a newsletter. You can have a newsletter box where people can subscribe with their names and their emails, and you can put your address in the footer as well. So that's the footer section. So you have two sections has been defined here. You have the header section and the footer section. The header section usually has the navigation of the site, and then the footer section has any other information that you want to put in. And these two sections are usually static. They are static because these sections are repeated on almost every page of the website. Then you have the section where you have the main content of the website, and you can just look at this as the main body of the website. And here, what you have is the content of the website. So depending on the page you are viewing on your site, you can have content here. Now, the content you are going to have here can be divided into two types of content. You can have what we call a static content, and you can have a dynamic content. Now, when we say we're having a static content, it means that the content you are putting in that area of the website does not need to change frequently from time to time. So an example of a static content is probably if this is the About Us page of your website, and you are having all the About Us information somewhere here on your website. So probably you have a picture here, and then you just have the information about the company here. Now, this is a static website. The other type of website that you can have is what we call a dynamic website. Of course, you want to have your website just like that. Again, you have the footer section where you can have all the information about whatever it is you want to put there. You have the header section where you have your menu links. just as explained earlier. So you have your menu links on the header section. And then when you talk about a dynamic website, if this area of your website is going to be dynamic, if this area of your website is going to be dynamic, then you are looking at a website like an e-commerce store. Now, if you have an e-commerce store, what you want to do is that you probably want to have a product here, and then you want to have the price of the product. Let's say the product is $2, the price of the product. Then you want to have a small description of the product, and then you want to have a button that says probably buy now. So that's a section. And then you want to now have this product, maybe another one here, $5, another one here, you want to have another one here, the button to buy. You want to have another product here, maybe this one is $15, and then you want to have a small description, and then you want to have a button, and you want to have another product, another product, another product, like that. Now, this is called a dynamic website because each time you add an item to your cart, let's assume you've just stocked a new product in your store, because later you are going to be building websites for e-commerce stores. So you can just look at all the stores around your place, and then you go to them with a proposal. We are putting you online, and then you can manage your stores, and then you can sell your products and services online, and you can package that proposal. Now, in such a case, what you are building is that you are building a website that has dynamic content. Why? This content is going to change from time to time. So when they have new stock, of course, they want to add those new stock to their website, and when those stocks are added, the new stock shows on this page, which means that page changes from time to time. Unlike the About Us page that can remain unchanged for a long time. So when you're building a website, there are some sites that you will need to build that will be dynamic. They have dynamic content. For instance, if you are building a website for a newspaper outlet, or you are building a website for a television outlet, or you are building a website for a radio station, then obviously this area will no longer be a shopping cart. It will now be the news items coming in as a post, and that has to be dynamic content. All right, it's no longer static, it's dynamic content. But what I want you to see is that websites generally have these reading to them, and you can see them coming in sections. So here we have the header section, we have the body section where you have the content or the content section, and then here we have the footer section. And then the content section can be dynamic, or the content section can be static. And then once you have this at the back of your mind, the concept of sections, and then you have at the back of your mind columns also, yes, because this is a column. Now in this area, now I said this is a section, this is another section here, right? This is another section here. But when you get here, notice that this has now been broken into 3 columns. So we have a column here, we have a column here, and we have 3 columns. Column 1, column 2, column 2, column 3, housing those information. So you will now see that when we talk about columns, columns are arranged side by side, while sections are arranged on top of each other. Now, having this background information at the back of your mind, let's just go to our WordPress, and then we go to our Elementor. So I go back to website is websitedesignmagic.click.wp-admin, and then I log into my dashboard, and then we now work on the page that we created earlier. So just put in the password. Now, once we are logged into our admin panel, notice that our Elementor is active and our Elementor Pro is also active. So it's saying that Elementor Pro has a new update 3.71. If you need to update this, you don't want to update from here, you want to probably get another copy of the Elementor Pro and then just do the installation again and override this installation that was here before, and this notice will be cleared. So we did this installation just I think 2 days ago, and here we are, there is a new version. So this is a very dynamic software. There are always new things being added all the time, and you have to keep up by keeping yourself in tune with what's going on, and then you are developing your skills, you are sharpening your skills, and you are using those skills to deliver better products and services to the marketplace, and then you are creating your income, whatever income you want, and you are giving value to your clients and your customers and whatever it is that you have. So what we are going to do now is that we are going to go to pages. Now in the last video, we created our first page and we named that first page the home page. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to edit that page, and then I am going to edit that page with Elementor, now that we have Elementor installed. So when you click to edit the page, you'll be given the option of editing the page with Elementor. So what I'm going to do is that I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to edit that page using Elementor. So when I come here, it's giving me all this. I'm just going to close, and I'm going to see at the top of the website, it says edit with Elementor. So I'm just going to go into Elementor and we can start building out with Elementor. Now remember, what we are going to do is that we are going to build a static page. Now the static page we are going to build will not necessarily have a header section. We won't be using a header. We'll just build a simple static page that will just have just a page. Okay, so what we'll just have is that we'll have a headline. So we'll have a headline. We'll have a headline. We'll have a sub-headline somewhere here. We'll have a sub-headline somewhere here. Then we have a form that will collect name and email address. Okay, an email address. And then we'll have a submit button, so submit. Now this will be the static page that we're going to start with. Now once we can achieve this, it will give you a very good overview of what Elementor can do for you, and that would help you. Now once I log into Elementor here, you just want to take a moment to be familiar with the whole of Elementor and how it works. So what I am going to do first is that I'm going to go to the settings here. And you see I have the general settings here, and I have the title of the website, and I have the status of the website as published. I have featured images. I don't want anything there. I'm going to go to page layout. And what I'm going to do in the page layout is that I'm going to change the default to Elementor Canvas. Now, when I change the default to Elementor Canvas, I'm going to update, and I'm going to use Elementor Canvas to start building out this page. Now, when I use Elementor Canvas to start building out this page, I'm just going to do it. Now, each time you click on updates, the change that you have effected becomes active on the website. And for ease, what you want to do is that you want to open up a new browser. Now, I'm going to be using the same browser here for convenience, but in actual fact, in real world, what you should do is that you open up a new browser so that you just load the website. That's the front end that people would see without the back end. And each time you do an update here, you just refresh and see what is there. So right now, this is what is there, and I just did an update. Now this is what is here on the front of the website. If I want to see the website that I am working on, remember the page I am working on is home, so I need to go to /home. Later we are going to configure that home page to work as our or let's just quickly do that. Let me just do that and show you. Now, right now, if you come to this website, websitedesignmagic.click, it will take you to the home page of the website where you have this default. The page where we are building out our page right now is home. If you remember, the page is home. So I'm just going to go back to the home page. I'm just going to exit to dashboard. And then I will go back to that home page. Let me go back to the WordPress. Yeah. And then what I'm going to do here is that I'm going to remember this is /home right now to see this blank page that we started designing with Elementor. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to settings, and I am going to change the home page to the default page that we are working on now, which is this home. Now, to get that done, I'm going to go to settings, and I'm going to go to reading. Now, when I get to reading, I'm going to say your latest post, your homepage. Now, what is the homepage going to display? So let me remove this /home, and this is what we have on the homepage right now. And you can see the homepage is displaying the latest posts, which is what you are seeing here. I'm going to change that default and say, okay, my homepage display a static page, and make that static page to be the home page that I just created. And then I am going to do a save. Once that has been saved, when I come to the, I'm just going to wait for this to save. Okay, so when I come to the home page now, it's going to automatically show that home page that I set as the default as my home page. So if anybody comes to websitedesignmagic.com, in the background, what will be shown to them is going to be the home page that I am working on now. So I'm going to go back to pages, and since I have already edited this home page with Elementor once I point my mouse button to the home page, I can now see edit with Elementor, and I'll just click edit with Elementor and I'll go back there. Remember, the moment we chose to edit with Canvas, it cleared out every design that was on that page, and then we have a blank page we can work with. So how does Elementor work? Now, Elementor works based on what we call sections and inner sections. So sections and inner sections. Now, when you come here where you have this plus icon, and you over it, it tells you add a new section. So when you click to add a new section, you'll be given the types of sections that you can add, and then you have all these section types. We are going to start by adding this blank section here, and we're going to click this section. And the moment that section has been added, you would see that there is now a box on top here. And then that box has controls. So you see, you can delete this section. You can see, you can go for the section element so that you can edit how this section looks. And then you can duplicate or you can add a new section by using this plus icon. So if you want to delete this section, you can just do a delete and the section will be gone. Now, sections are stacked on top of each other. So if I add a section here and I do a section, you will see one section will be here, which is a section. And then if I add another section, you will see that that section will show up on top or below the first section. So if I add a section here, you will see that I now have two sections, one on top and one below. That's how Elementor works. So it works something like, so basically what you now have is that you have in sections, you have your first section. Okay, I have the right board. You have your first section, and then when you add a new section, the second section will just show up like that. And when you add another section, you see the section will show up like that. You cannot add sections side by side. This will not work. This won't work. You can only have sections stacking on top of each other. So when you get to your Elementor and you add a section, you see those sections will be stacked on each other. So if I add a new section, you will see I now have three sections. This is the first section. And when you point into that section, you get edit. And when you point into the second section, you get edit. When you point into the third section, you get an edit. And you can edit each section separately. So I'm going to remove all these sections, and I'm going to add a section again. Now, when you add a section, you have that section. Now, when you click in on the edit section, these 9 dots, or is it 6? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These 6 dots in the middle. When you click on this and you click to edit, what you would see is that on the side here, this section here would change, and what you would have is the edit section. So once you have this edit, you will see 3 things. You see layout, you will see style, you will see advanced. Now, what that means is that from here, you can decide to adjust it. For instance, if you decide that, okay, I want to style. Style means you want to change the appearance. I want to style the appearance of this section. You can just go to style, and then you can say, okay, I want to have a background on this style. and I want to have a gradient background. If you want a solid color background, you can just click on this first one, which is a classic, and then just choose your background color and say, okay, I want this section to have a background of let's pick something like this, and then you say give me that background. And you can see this section is actually a bit small. And you can come back to layout and say, okay, I want this to have a minimum height, and say give me a minimum height, and automatically you have that. Now if you publish this now and you, let me just wait for this to complete, and you refresh your website by doing a refresh, you will notice automatically that there is a content on the website. And because you are using a minimum height, although there is really nothing but a section, you will see that section will show on your website. And then you can now come here. Now that we have given our section a background, we can now come and click this 9 dots. This has 6 dots, this has 9 dots, and this takes us back to Elementor itself. And then we can now add what we call an inner section. So an inner section will now add for you a section inside a section. So you have a section like this, and in order to put content inside this section, you will now put in an inner section, which can come like that. Okay, if you want to put in a column, or you can put a text or whatever it is you want. So what I'm going to do is, I'm not going to use an inner section for now. I'm just going to drag and drop a heading section inside this place. So I'm just going to do a heading section, and once I add a heading section, I can just come back here under the edit section, and once you have the heading section that I have dragged and dropped, you will see on the side here that you have an edit icon that you can click, and that will give you the edit page. So I can just decide to change the content here and just do something like how to design, or let me just say design your first website in 24 hours. And then once you have that, you can now begin to adjust this. For instance, under the content, I can come to alignment, and I can say give me this in the middle. And once I do give me this in the middle, it puts it in the middle for me. I can now come to the style, for instance, and I can begin to adjust this thing because I am editing this heading. So I have added an edit element, and I am editing this heading. You can see the color of this text right now is blue. If I publish it by updating and I refresh the website, you will see that blue on a red or dark red background is not looking good. So the rule of design is that if you have a dark background, whatever you are putting on that dark background should be a light color. So I'll probably want to edit the text color here and just pick something like white. So I'm just going to drag to the point where I have white. And once I have white, I'm just going to do OK for that. Click the title, and I'm just going to do update. And when I update and the update is complete, if I refresh the website once again, you would notice that that website has now changed, and I now have designed your first website in 24 hours, and this is looking better. But then I can make it better by doing more. Now I am still editing this heading, so I can go ahead and pick the typography, and I can do edit the typography here, and then I can go to the font family and I can decide to change the fonts. And for instance, I can decide to pick something like Montserrat, which is a fine font for websites. I can decide to pick something like Montserrat, and you can see it changes immediately. And then I can decide to change the size to probably, I can decide to change the size to whatever it is I want. Let me change the size to 50, or let me say 83 or 80. Let me just do 80 pixel. So you have the option of changing the size. You can just change the size, and then you can use pixel, you can use all these, but we are going to stick with pixels for now. Then I can also change the weight. So I'm doing all of this in style. Style changes the appearance of whatever you have on your screen. So I'm going to just use, let me increase the weight. If I do 900, you can see the weight has increased, but that's not really looking good. Let me just pick maybe like 700 or 800. I think, yeah, this is looking better. Then I can decide to choose a style. For instance, I can say, give me italics. If I don't like that, I can go back to default. I can go to the text decoration and say, give me an underline, and it will give me that. I can say, give me overline, and it will give me that. I can say, just give me a default. Then, of course, I can do the line height. Remember, just if you look at this design now, you'll see that the two lines appears like it is squashed together. So I can change the line height, for instance, and just scroll here or increase the line height here, and I'm just going to do line height by scrolling and scrolling and scrolling, and I have at around here, I think I have a good line height. I can decide to change letter spacing. Okay, the space between each letter, and you can see that works also. So Elementor is actually a very smooth tool that you can use to design your website. So I'm just going to leave it like this, and I'm just going to do an update. And once I do an update and I refresh the site, you would see that update is done on the site, and anybody who comes to your website now, what they would see is they would see this design your first website in 24 hours. So I can go to Elementor and just use, if I need to get into the main section of the Elementor widgets here, I can just come back here and I'm back in the main Elementor widget. So I can begin to add more items to this section. For instance, if I need a button, I can just click and drag a button and drop a button in here, and I will have a button, and I can edit the button and do anything I want with the button. For instance, I can decide to say, okay, I want to give this button a background. I want to have the button in the center. So if I want to have the button in the center, I can have that, and then I can go to style, and when I go to style, I can change the text, the typography, just like we did earlier. I can increase the size, I can change the text, I can do all sorts, I can transform and make what is in there to appear like that. I can increase the line letter height, and I can do anything I want, and that's a button. And if I like, I can change the background of the button as well. I'm here in button, I worked on typography. I can go to background, and I can decide to change the background of that button by just clicking on the color, and then I change the color from green. I can just slide and come to red, and I can change the color to red, and I can decide to even change the color to whatever it is I want. So when I click update and you look at this website, you would see that I have changed the website. So if you can play around with this, what you have done is that you have started building a website. It's as simple as that. Now I'm going to stop here in this video, but before I stop, let me just show you how you can bring in additional elements. So for instance, if I want to have a picture, I can drag the image here and drag it into, and I will have an image. If I want to have a form, I can drag the form element here and I just drop it, and there I go, I have a form. If I update this, I would have a form on my website that my visitors can see. So what we have done now is that we have built our first static website. Now it's not looking pretty. We've not added any major formatting. We've not added any major formatting yet. We've not done anything fancy. It may not be looking nice for now, but we have built a website. We have put up a website. So in the next video, what we're going to do is that we're going to look at how we can make this to look pretty, and we'll just do something pretty with this, and then we'll put up the form and make the form look good, and then we'll see how far we can go in that video. And then in the next video, we'll build on top of that until we have a beautiful first website, which is going to be a static sales page. a simple opt-in page. And then after we are done with that and we are proficient with doing that, we'll move into building other types of websites, and then we just take it up from there. One thing I want you to notice is that the time you spend learning this skill and perfecting it and improving on it is not going to be wasted. Remember, you can use this to start a website design agency. You can use this to sell courses around website design and make millions of money per year. And that's exactly what I want to do. So please put in the time and the effort to learn all these things and to perfect your skills, because you'll find out that these things can be very, very rewarding at the end of the day. I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.